Fellas, in today's video, I'll be showing you how to play Squirrel Girl in this Marvel Rivals guide. Squirrel Girl is an insanely powerful duelist with great mobility and has the power to lock her enemies in place to make them easy kills. She plays like Junkrat from Overwatch 2 and has an explosive attack that you'll come to love. Squirrel Girl has a really simple toolkit, allowing her to be very quick to learn and quick to master. While not the best in higher ranks, she does hold well regardless. Her combos, playstyle, and more will be covered in this video, so whether you're new to her or need a Season 1 refresher, this video will be for you. Squirrel Girl is best played as a ranged duelist, using advantageous positions to shoot everyone. She's also good in the backline defending while shooting over enemy heads to hit the other team's supports. Her offensive toolkit consists of her basic attack, which hits hard and does splash damage. And that's it, aside from her ult. Very simple. Her defensive support toolkit has her second ability, which will imprison a target while dealing some damage, a high jump, and a special reload that also removes an ability cooldown. Again, very simple. Her team up is with Spider-Man, a fairly common hero that locks an enemy in place and deals chunky damage, topping off with their ultimate, which will send a mob of squirrels after your targets. And this may be a shocker, it's also very simple to use. So let's get on with how to use them effectively. Her basic attack is Burst Acorn. With that, you shoot a Burst Acorn, and if it hits the target, this will deal 110 damage. It also has an area of effect, but do be mindful this area of effect will fall off in damage after about 3 or so meters. She does fire a shot about every second or so, and that's all there really is to it. While it is best to aim at a target to try and hit them, shooting at their feet is also very fine, and is best used when shooting clusters. Next we have our second attack, Squirrel Blockade. What this does, you launch an acorn that you can charge at a target, and this will lock them in place for just over a second. It hits for about 35 damage, with an 8-second cooldown, and this makes it easier to land your shots as they can move when they are locked down. It's also good for escape if you are being chased. Next we have our tail bounce. What this does, lets you bounce up really high, and that's all there is to it. It does have an 8-second cooldown, allowing you to get in some aerial shots or to get away if you are being attacked. And it's also very useful for getting into better positioning. One tip to keep in mind for this is that you can jump and then do the squirrel bounce, but you cannot do the tail bounce and then jump. So what happens if you run out of ammo and the enemy is still following you after that jump? That is her next ability, Mammal Bond. With that is the E button on PC, and so this will reload your basic attack as well as giving you a free ability cooldown. So if you are escaping, this will allow you to quickly freeze your enemies or get in a second tail jump just like this. Very useful for getting away, very useful for launching a counter attack as well. It does have a 12-second cooldown, so you can't spam it all the time, but it is something that you should be using often. And when you do use it, you can see above your other abilities, you have a 5-second window in order to use the ability. And so that's absolutely fantastic to chain into combos, which we will cover here in just a moment. Up next, we have our webbed acorn. Very similar to the squirrel blockade, it will throw a acorn and immobilize enemies. However, this time, it does quite a bit of damage, but the immobilization, the lock-in effect, only lasts for about a second. Spider-Man is fairly common to see, so this is something that you should get used to using. But as a general, it's not a make or break for her abilities. It does have a 20-second cooldown, unfortunately, and this is not restored with a Mammal Bond. And so while it does do good damage, it's more so shines just for locking down enemies. And then lastly, we have our ultimate, Unbeatable Squirrel Tsunami. I'm sure you've all seen this one by now. You press the Q button and confirm which way you want to launch it. And then with a simple click, you send out a giant mob of squirrels. As in Season 1, the squirrels will rush towards the nearest enemy after bouncing. And they also now have a health bar of 300 instead of 600. This will also do 150 damage per hit, making it a great opener. Great to get some damage down, and best used on clusters of enemies or in tight of areas like on objectives, just so that the squirrels have more to launch off of. It lasts a grand total of 10 seconds, and they move about 15 meters a second as well. So that's the gist of her breakdown. Let's talk more about her in games. A great combo for Squirrel Girl is once her ultimate is ready, use her mammal bond to pull off 2 squirrel blockades, one after the other, and then using her ultimate. This will mean enemies will be locked in place during the squirrel tsunami, and will give you a fully reloaded slingshot to get some attacking in at the same time. Her projectiles will bounce off of walls, so be sure to use this to your advantage. Also, with the area of effect on her basic attack, means it's good to be jumping around since you only need to be somewhat accurate. Squirrel Girl really shines while sticking closer to the back, or from hard to reach spots up high. Sticking with the backline will allow for more focused shots on attackers to lock them down for your frontline to eliminate. This also lets you focus more on getting group shots in. However, she still is very powerful if you do manage to land your shots over the area of effect. Whether you play in the back or up high, aiming for the healers on the enemy backline is a smart play thanks to the bouncing shots and area damage. And while you may have problem with tanks, in the gameplay you see here, there was a constant Penny Parker tank that was really messing up my team. Being able to lock them down and get in some beefy damage onto her helped us secure the victory. They sound great, you might be saying. What is her weakness? No fret, there's actually not too many. Only enemies that flank, the divers, the melee fighters, heroes with shields, or multiple attackers, nothing too major. Your tail bounce can save you in a pinch, same with the freezing attacks. The mammal bond can refresh both of those, giving you that literal extra boost if needed, or another freezing attack. The key is to stay calm and collected and be mindful of the area that you're choosing your next move. When in doubt, save a squirrel guard in case someone tries to push you. Now, a good tank like Thor or Hulk can be a decent counter for Squirrel Girl. If your reading ability isn't the best, this may be a time when you need to make a switch. But as you play more, your ability to read will improve and you can deal with them. Jumping around and firing shots is a great answer to other DPS like Hawkeye. You also are a ranged attacker, meaning you have decent ability to shoot the flyers out of the air as well. Speaking of counters, Squirrel Girl's ultimate is a good one for Invisible Woman's ultimate, as your Squirrel Tsunami will still lock onto the enemies within. Her ultimate is very strong, used in tandem with Doctor Strange and Groot's when the enemies are more locked in. A good playing tip to keep in mind is when the other team needs to come through a door or entryway. Being able to do spammy explosive attacks on a door will create hesitation and ideally make them choose a different path to take. If you find an enemy player is camped high taking shots at your team, you can shoot the roof of their enclosure or the walls around them to get bounce attacks onto them. This should kill the attacker, but even if it doesn't, the damage done should be enough to cause them to relocate to a new spot. As a general with a basic attack, it is better to land your shots to get that heavy damage in, but if you're having trouble with that, freezing the enemy in place will be a good way to start so that you can land the shots. Otherwise, if they're all clustered together, that area of effect damage will still do a good amount of damage. Overall, Squirrel Girl is a simple duelist to pick and learn. It can help out on any team who can make some strategic plays. They can apply some good pressure onto the enemy team due to her explosive area of effect attack. She can also lock down momentarily targets who are trying to push. She's a good pick for anyone looking to hop into the duelist class, as well as for duelists looking to pick up a new hero to shake things up, or in case their main gets picked first. And that's a wrap on the Squirrel Girl Marvel Rivals Ultimate Guide. Tell me, did I miss anything, or do you have any tips of your own that you think other people should know? Leave it in the comments below. And hey, hit that like button if you're still watching, subscribe for more videos like this if you haven't already, and stay tuned for the next one.